appliances are tested and inspected. Your floor mats are cleaned and delivered. And your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
What was that?
That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to handle the busy holiday season, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
From the pages of the Elgin newspapers of 100 years ago today, these are the headlines brought to you by the Elgin History Museum.
My name is Tricia Grosser, and this is Elgin 100 years ago today, October 9th. Headline reads, Violated Rules on Quarantine. If it wasn't for the fact that I would be causing a hardship to your family, I would assess a heavy fine against you, Police Magistrate George Thompson told Frank Slippick. Slippick was being arraigned on a charge of violating quarantine rules. On his promise to abide by all laws of the city, state, and nation, Slippick was let off with a suspended fine and cost totaling $9.50. If I overhear of you violating another law, the court told Slippick, it will be necessary for you to pay this fine. Slippick was charged by Dr. A.L. Mann, City Health Officer, with violation.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. This afternoon, mostly sunny with a high near 68. A slight chance of rain showers after 5 p.m. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 55. A slight chance of rain showers before 7 p.m. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a high near 75. Currently, it is 69 with mainly clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer. You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
And good day to our friends around the world. This is a political talk show on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 on that AM dial that we love so much all the way since 1949. And WRMN1410.com. That is the place to go to learn about all of the different digital platforms that you can watch, listen, interact, and be a part of the show. My name is Dennis Onar Green, and this is a political talk show. And we strive to give you kind of outside the partisan issues and into the deep dives. And there's nothing more deep diving that I love more than to get into municipal law. Honestly, a lot of people think it's just weird, but that's okay. I've got more weird friends along with me. Not to be out weirded, I've got my great buddy over here. That would be Mr. Jim Vasselli of Vasselli Law. That's jmvchicagolaw.com. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you, sir. Nice. Thanks for having me.
So, municipal wonk is what they call it in the learned circles. But we brought you on because of the news that's coming on. A lot of in the area, and I have the privilege of being able to do the 10 o'clock news every morning now. So I get to read the paper. I get to read all of the different outlets and things. And it seems like a lot of people are going one way or the other. A lot of the municipalities are either improving and saying we've got another budget for the waterfront or where we've got the thing or that. Or sadly, there are some municipalities that are struggling a little bit more. Even then, I've seen it even as far down as food pantries. You get in the same week, one food pantry is expanding into another side, and another food pantry is starting to come down. So it's back and forth on either side. So the city of Harvey right now is calling together a special meeting that's actually happening tonight. I believe it is 5:30 tonight that they're having this special meeting for. Could you tell us a little bit more about the context of this meeting?
Sure. So thank you for having me. And obviously your interest in these topics is great, and it's a great education for the community. The city of Harvey is trying to pass an ordinance to get the protection, or in the fancy legal words we call avail themselves of the protections of the financially distressed city law. And that is in section 8-12-1 of the Illinois Municipal Code. And it's the financially distressed city law. That's the citation. And if you meet the qualifications of this, you basically turn your finances and financial planning over to the state of Illinois. So to break it down even a little bit further, the first step in this process is normally a notification to the elected officials, the constitutionals, and your state reps and senators that you're going to look into this act. It's not used very often. And then the municipality in question, in this case, the city of Harvey, and I think the city of East St. Louis has done it before, passes an ordinance. A certified copy of that ordinance goes to, I believe, the Secretary of State, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, or the House's clerk, and the governor's office. And then they have to take legislative actions to enforce these rules about the organizational internal management of the city, the permissions to make contracts, leases, to approval of loans and notes and other financial aid, and the appointment of officers, agents, and employees for their qualifications and while this crisis goes on.
So this isn't like necessarily nefarious, right? It isn't like somebody embezzled something and the state is coming in and saying, you stole all this money and this is where it went. It's more of, okay, we've kind of boxed ourselves into a budgeting crisis, whether a lot of municipalities are leaning on either that grocery tax that was statewide or the COVID relief money for a lot of things. So there's a lot of organizations that the rubber's meeting the road right now with a lot of this. Is this kind of where this is coming in, that it's not necessarily anything nefarious, it's just that the numbers just don't add up?
I think it's a great point. If I could go back and use Harvey as an example for this. So no, there's no allegations of fraud or mismanagement or embezzlement. The city failed in part, this is coming abroad, because the city failed to make pension payments. And by state law, if you don't make mandatory pension payments, then the state diverts funds, they intercept. So think about it just like a football game. They take the funds, it goes here rather than over there. Real bad radio, but it goes in one direction rather than the other. And they take that money. So that personal income tax that the cities normally get. That goes not to the cities now, but to offset those delinquent pension obligations. They have tried to work, but the state's hands are bound. I mean, we are a country of law. It's not of men or women or cities in this case. And the laws say that the money needs to be intercepted. So the money gets diverted from what would normally go to offset city obligations, and it causes a crisis for a place like Harvey, which is tomorrow also furloughing 10% of its employees.
Is this are they being affected by the national shutdown, or is this all just local budgeting at this point?
A lot of it's local budgeting. I think the national shutdown will have an effect shortly. I think as always, tremendous points. The ARPA funds. So that was great, but it also provided somewhat of an artificial lifeline where people thought that their budgets were in better places than the general populace when the municipal budgets were really surviving off the ARPA funds. The grocery tax, while very unpopular in some circles for voting issues, many municipalities survive on that grocery tax. And to take it off, the policy decision's been made.
Yeah.
But then you have to go and you have to convince your representative. We are a republic, not a democracy, right? You have to convince these people who are elected to pass this tax, which is an artificial and practical purposes tax, because it's already on there. What you're saying is maintain the status quo.
And when they passed it and by removing the tax statewide, they put in that bill and now law. See, it's weird to keep talking back and forth with it. But now in that law, they put it in that it only took the governing body to actually put that in there, not actually having to pass a full referendum for everything.
And it's important because referendums for taxes oftentimes fail.
We saw one just fail in this last one.
Absolutely. And I would like to, and at some point in time, my partner Aaron or I will assign one of our associates or something to research the number of referendums that pass or fail, because my guess is most of those that involve financing fail.
Oh, yeah. Especially for new taxes, because that's what this would have ended up being even for that side. So now they were able to put the new grocery tax on with just a decision. But is that anything that Harvey was able to use? Because it was only, I think, less than 60% of the municipalities in the area decided to put that grocery tax in there.
And I don't know if they passed it or not. I know that the tax itself doesn't roll off until the first. So from a liquidity standpoint, I don't know if that would be necessarily applicable. It's a great point, and I'll look into whether they passed it or not. Most municipalities have passed it by the October date, because for IDOR, which is, shouldn't use acronyms, but the Illinois Department of Revenue, they needed that with a little lead time to be able to implement proper way, because they take a processing fee, and then remit. The ironic part about the grocery and these, the distributive fund taxes is those all stem from local units of government imposing a tax. The state then came in and took that power away, and they started doing it. And now they would slice off more and more, and kind of like negotiating. I always say, like, you negotiate the way you cut a slice of salami, like one little slice at a time, and they don't control it. They took the dominion away from the localities that actually started off on this, and then they kind of exercised their dominion for their own budgetary needs rather than the localities who actually thought of this idea. I don't purport to be a legislator. I just know that my governments need as much resources to be able to make sure potholes are filled, police officers hit the streets, and firefighters can rescue little kids as they need.
Absolutely. We don't want to hold back any dollars for that.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about the designation for this too, because obviously there's a lot of different cities that are in need, but not to the point where the state has to come in and actually direct. So some of the things that of just poking around a little bit comes in for what's called the home rule requirement for this too. So could you explain a little bit for what that is, if anybody starts looking into this?
Sure. So there's two types of municipalities in the state of Illinois. There are home rule and non-home rule. And this all stems back from a case at the turn of the last century from a Judge Dillon in Iowa. And they have a Dillon's rule. Dillon's rule says that municipalities only have those power that the state legislature gives them.
Okay.
Think of them as like lower level entities, okay? And then home rule are their own standalone entities. They can generate powers themselves. They can do everything that the state doesn't preclude them from doing.
So it's almost like a trickle down of, or I guess a cookie cutter of rights, right? Even when we talk about the federal government only has those powers directed to the federal government, nothing more, nothing less, by the 4th article and the 10th Amendment. That's what everything else is states' rights. So then anything the state doesn't directly have direct law for, even in the state's constitution, then it falls down to the municipalities. Is that where the home rule kind of fits in with this?
You gave me the perfect segue. So let's put that paradigm up. The smaller level non-home rule units, which are generally under 25,000, or they pass a referendum for home rule. Theoretically, you get a court order, but let's not talk about that. That's too wonky. The state has these powers, and one of the powers is to give powers to the municipalities. They do that through constitution. They do that through legislation, through statute. I guess they would do it by court order and then by implication. If you have the right to have police cars, you have the right to get their oil changed as well, right? So there's a certain level of implication goes on there. But there are certain matters that you cannot do as a non-home rule unit, and you have to get different authority to do so. A home rule unit, in that regard, could operate in a manner independent. They could do whatever they want unless it's been deemed outside the municipal purview from either statute or court case. Like a home rule unit cannot participate in a tax sale auction. It's too speculative. They say that's not for a public purpose. So it's really super wonky. I love it. I think it's great. There's hundreds of cases on it.
Okay. And so essentially what this is happening is Harvey is in trouble budget-wise for whatever it is. There's going to be an investigation, as there always is when somebody comes in for oversight. So then they're going to do this oversight, and by they, it's the state that's coming in with this. So it's not necessarily the county or anything else that's smaller than that. This is the full-on state control that's coming into to oversee this side. Now, I don't think they're necessarily going to replace everybody, put different bodies into the same position, but they are going to direct the people that are over there now.
There will be, there will be powers that are given to the state that would normally not be given, and it is a cession of power. There is some level of, I'm going to break this down. They're throwing their hands in the air and say, we can't handle this thing. Come and help us. Come and work through this.
Is this the equivalency of, I don't know, I guess effectively a bankruptcy? I guess would be the only way to not throw bankruptcy as a pejorative out there, but just a, hey, I need help.
Yeah. So that's a great way to put it. I was with my lovely wife last night, and she was talking to me about this. Trust me, we have more interesting conversations than this. But, she said, we were talking about it, and she's way smarter than I am, but she's not a lawyer. And I said, I want you to think about this as if it were a bankruptcy. This is a stopgap that the law provides to allow for a financial pivot.
Gotcha.
When people talk about bankruptcy, and they talk about it in these pejorative terms, but it's not. It's a restart. I mean, of course, there's always going to be extreme examples, and we should never look to the outside of the bell-shaped curve, but look on the inside of the bell-shaped curve, the big mass, right? And that being the case, this like that is not necessarily a bad thing in so much that they were responsible enough and had enough accountability to say we need help. and
Which is fantastic.
Fantastic. We should do that as human beings, much less have the responsibility of a corporate authorities to go forward like that.
I mean, is it bad that this is a municipality that cannot afford and cannot pay its bills? And, at the end of the day, it's not even the people who's in charge right now's fault at that, right? We turn over so much, which is why it's always has to be about the policy, and it always has to be about the platform, and it always has to be about the plan. It cannot be about the person. And I'm not saying this is what happened, but this is how you end up backing yourself into a corner, is when you vote for the person, not for the plan. Because the plan I can hand over. I can say, hey, Jimmy, I had it. You got it. Here's the plan. Here's the history of what we did. I'll see you later. Let's go. So what they've done is they've decided that they need help with the plan. So what does that look like? Obviously, it's state resources that are coming in, whether it's personnel or dollars and cents that are coming in for that. But what does it look like as the repair? Because obviously the state can't control a municipality like this forever, in perpetuity, where it's just like, yeah, elect your own people, but we're still going to run your budget for you. I don't think I necessarily want to live in a world like that.
So there's a plan, a 45-day window that comes in under Section 15 of the Act, of the specific Act, where they have to provide their financial plan and work through and take into account numerous fiscal years to ensure that there's solvency. Just like in a bankruptcy matter, we don't just freeze and stop. I mean, one of the great things that the founders did was eliminating debtor's prison, because it's a self-perpetuating thing.
Thank God, I've been there too.
Right. And we've all looked at it and been like, okay, this is the one that's going to bounce. And you look at this, and it is, you'd be done. You'd be done forever, right? Because you're stuck in debtor's prison, and that's just a power control thing. And we could have a much longer conversation about the basis for that. But
what is it? Law is threats, I think is what. We'll go a whole different side than that.
But no, there is an idea that this is a pivot. We're going to make these changes, and then we're going to go and do things in a different manner. Again, I would have liked to have the time, and if we talk about this again, to see what's happened when this act's been invoked previously, because it's not something you see every day. Thank God, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so there is an infrastructure that needs to be put in place. And like you said, and I think of one of the great guitar solos of all time, but the band Living Colour and the song Cult of Personality, when you vote for a person, for an image, for a likeness, you come into problems because you have past precedent that needs to be handled. You can vote for a qualified candidate. I hope people do. But you have to vote for their policies. And the fact of the matter is the policies show the qualifications.
Oh, they always do. You will know them by their fruits, right? That's how it always works. So there is a special city council meeting tonight at 5:30. It will be held at 1461. That is a lot of numbers. Yeah. Okay. It'll be held at 14618 Lincoln Avenue. City officials announced in this public notice the meeting, called by Mayor Christopher J. Clark, will center on the presentation of the city's financial condition. Before I let you go, talking about branding and cult of personality, let's talk about Representative Cam Buckner and this new, what do they call it? Stadium Transparency and Responsible Spending Act.
I think it's an acronym.
It is for STARS. STARS is what it is. Right. The bill uses generic framing, doesn't single out a particular team. Obviously, it is about the Chicago Bears. It talks about 30-day agreements, agreements between state and local governments for sports franchises must be publicly posted online for a minimum of 30 days. We've also got independent cost-benefit analysis that the team has to pay for as well. public hearings on stake and stakeholder input. At least 2 public hearings are held by the affected community, and reimbursement if they decide to leave, and reimbursement for property tax revenue. So if property tax revenue is taken away and libraries and police and fire don't have enough, they're coming for them. Is this a targeted bill? First off, let's ask just a broader question. Sure. Can I write targeted bills?
So special legislation is impermissible in the state of Illinois. And that means something that affects only one thing and not as a statewide concern.
So what if I say it only affects sport teams named after animals with only 4 letters in them?
What if we had sports teams that are sponsored by WRMN or a broadcast studio? I agree. It is, oddly enough, the 2 that are both work with the state. But no, it is. Also, if you read the state statutes, which you do, and I'm sure everybody listening does, you'll see that there are a plethora of laws that affect only certain municipalities or certain things. And so special legislation is when the court decides it is. And this is obviously targeted for the Chicago Bears and to see them remain in the city of Chicago. It's we could do a 12-episode radio show about the contract and about the negotiations and about the fact that Bears deal, I think that they are the only franchise that doesn't get their parking revenue.
Wow.
And that goes to the park district, I believe. It was an overnight deal done, and it was poorly negotiated in so much that, without getting into the big pictures, I was not there with Jane Byrne. I was not there with George Hallis. I would have loved to have been, but I was not. But when you make one side of a deal that's so arduous for the other side to go through, we talked about debtor's prison before. It's the same type of thing. Contracts should be fair on both sides.
Yeah.
Because then somebody's just going to try to get out of it, and that you're really inducing them, fancy legal word of the day, to breach the contract and break away. Clearly this is regarding the Bears.
From what I read, the city is saying that the Bears themselves owe the city $500 million for the renovations for everything. Sure. And then the Bears are saying, well, hold on a second. We gave you about, I think the number, I read it this morning, I think was $230 million to the Parks District for that same thing you were talking about. And they said it wasn't even our debt. It was a whole nother company that was even putting that together. So do they have to clear that up before they could even think about moving anywhere else?
So that is an interesting question. I will tell you, I don't know. And I will look into that. And
can I force you, if I can't put you in debt, I can't force you to go in jail, but can I force you where you are to stay where you are?
Correct. So the Los Angeles Rams, remember, they were in St. Louis before they moved to Los Angeles. And the city of St. Louis or the township or whatever entities it is, or the state paid for their new stadium or subsidized a large part of their stadium. And they left. And those bonds were still outstanding. So and there's usually a pittance that gets paid, pennies on the dollar. And I don't know. I'm really interested to find out what the breakout clause was. Because when I was looking at it before, I knew that the numbers were not, for the number, we're talking about billions. I mean, like when there's labor negotiations with franchise owners and sports professional athletes, it's millionaires versus billionaires, right? We're talking about billions and millions of dollars. And I don't know. I want to see how that shakes out because I thought it wasn't that arduous. And honestly, kudos to Buckner. I mean, in so much that he is there and he's an advocate for his district.
Yep.
And whether you believe that they should be in Arlington Heights or Chicago, and it's always, everybody likes to look at the lakefront, but Buckner's looking out for his district. You know, that's what his job is do. That's what the people put him in place to do.
He says he frames the bill as a guardrail against blank checks to wealthy teams whose economic return is uncertain. I mean, he's hedging his bet on that side. Yeah. And speaking of bets, I think I would put the over-under on opening season at, let's say, 2037. Where do you put the
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, I think Arlington Heights is a foregone conclusion. I think that this gets negotiated away. But I thought it was like 2 years to leave and then 8 years to build.
Wow.
Or something like that. I know it's
2040 over or under. Which one are you looking
I would go under. I'll go under. I am not he who gambles lives in shambles, but I will go under. I do think that they're going to move fast because I think that the economics for a Final Four, Super Bowl conventions and whatnot will just be too great. And I think that, here we go. I think that they'll sell the team, right? I mean, they'll package it and they'll sell the team.
There it is. Well, thank you very much for being here, Mr. Vasselli. That is Jim Vasselli from JMV Vasselli Law. JMVChicagoLaw.com is the best place to go to learn about more. Anything interesting you're working on other than incredibly wonky deep dives into these municipalities here?
No, just representing the local governments in the area, including the Village of Hampshire, the Village of Burlington, Lily Lake, Sugar Grove, Elgin Township, Mental Health Commission. It's great elected people, and I think the Valley should know that they've really put some really good people in office.
But even if I had little stuff, I can still come over to you too. Wills or trusts or anything like that?
I love real estate. We got a really good wills guy, way smarter than me. We do civil litigation. We represented somebody on a speeding ticket not too long ago. We do everything from $100 million deals till selling $3,000 vacant lots.
Well, I appreciate you being on as always. That is JMVChicagoLaw.com. This is the best place to go. And you can find this recording here on the podcast for A Political Talk Show over at JMVChicagoLaw.com. It'll also be over there. Stick around for more WRMN and more A Political Talk Show coming up after this.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Cintas. A Burbank woman was cited in a crash last week that left 3 people hospitalized, including one that was seriously hurt, according to Batavia police. 21-year-old Belinda Gomez Matube was issued a citation for failure to yield, vehicle turning left after the crash that occurred at around 8:55 p.m. last Tuesday at the intersection of North Randall Road and McKee Street. The preliminary investigation revealed a Chevy Trailblazer driven by Gomez Matube was driving north on Randall Road when the driver attempted to turn left and crashed into a Dodge Ram headed south on Randall Road. Extrication was required after the collision. Gomez Matube and the 28-year-old Dodge driver were hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries and were soon released. A 24-year-old man who rode in the Chevy was receiving advanced medical treatment as of Wednesday of last week. Members of the marching bands from 5 Elgin area school district U46 high schools will perform during a showcase at Streamwood High School's Millennium Field on West Schaumburg Road on Thursday. The program begins with a performance of the national anthem at 6 p.m., followed by the Streamwood High School's band at 6:15, Elgin at 6:45, Larkin at 7:15, Bartlett at 7:45, and South Elgin at 8:15. Admission is free and gates open at 5:30 p.m. A total of 132 runners from Aurora successfully completed the 2025 Bank of America Chicago Marathon on Sunday, joining more than 50,000 participants who crossed the finish line in Grant Park. This year's marathon, the 47th edition of the event, attracted runners from all 50 states and over 120 countries. The 26.2-mile race started and ended in Grant Park with runners traversing 29 of Chicago's neighborhoods. The Chicago Marathon published a complete list of local runners who ran in the race. All results were unofficial as of Monday afternoon. I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you tried online gaming. Who knew 12-year-old boys could be so mean? And where did they learn to swear like that? 2 hours of losing to these underage trash talkers, and you're starting to question if maybe you really should stick to pickleball and other boomer stuff. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
At Britain's Touchless Car Wash, they know life gets busy. That's why they're here 24/7 to keep your car looking spotless, fast, and easy. Their advanced brush-free wash technology delivers a sparkling clean without a single scratch, because they treat your car like it's their own. Here's the best part. Right now, you can get a free car wash just for joining their text club. It's simple. Just text BRITT to 30400, and your first wash is on them. Britain's Touchless Car Wash has 2 convenient locations, 1923 Larkin Avenue in Elgin and 555 Willow in West Dundee. They're proud to keep your car clean while giving back to our community. Text BRITT to 30400. That's BRITT to 30400. Now for your free car wash, and see why Britain's Touchless Car Wash is the fast, gentle, and reliable choice.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. This afternoon, mostly sunny with a high near 68. A slight chance of rain showers after 5 p.m. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 55. A slight chance of rain showers before 7 p.m. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a high near 75. Currently, it is 69 with clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Remember when they used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? At Bank of America, we ask every day, what would you like the power to do? When you work here, you help build businesses, inspire communities, and forge legacies. And now we've raised our U.S. minimum wage to $25 an hour. So the opportunity to do more also comes with competitive pay. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/25. Bank of America, proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
To a political talk show here on WRMN. Always a great discussion with our friend Jimmy. That's Jimmy Vasselli from JMVChicagoLaw.com. Great discussion. Love getting into the wonkiness of it, right? To use that word appropriately. It's great. So what we're going to do here, because we do have a short segment coming up, I'm going to just go through a couple of the blind spots that we've got out here. We're running all the way to the top of the hour, but let's do a few blind spots. I saw this video that was out, I think it was on YouTube, and I think Pod Save America or the Midas Touch or somebody like that might have reposted it. It was definitely on Lindell TV because it was a Lindell TV reporter. So the reason this is a blind spot is because there is not a lot of reporting necessarily on the left-hand side. There is some, but out of the, over 40 articles about this particular incident, 72% of it is on the right and 22% of it on the left. Now, the reason that I pulled this blind spot up is you know that it is a polarizing blind spot when not really anybody in the middle really reports it. So when I teach news talk radio and news talk media over at the Illinois Media School, we go through bias and we go through how to analyze the news and kind of see, just based off of how everything is being reported, can we really determine what the news topic is really about. And so with this one, having just 6% being in the center, which most of the time center news organizations, they usually don't get into the tabloidy type of things, or at least they try to stay above it. Now, The Hill and Newsweek, the two out of the 40 that were biased in this, they report on everything anyway. Doesn't matter. The Hill, part of CBS and Nexstar and everything else, they always just have a whole team of reporters. So you always know that it is one of those scandalous type of things when it is majority left and right. There isn't much of a center bit into it. So this one here is Pelosi tells a Lindell TV reporter to shut up after January 6th question. On Wednesday, Representative Nancy Pelosi snapped at an unnamed pro-Trump influencer on U.S. Capitol steps. Now, obviously, that's mean. The lady has a name. I don't know it. But to not even look her up off of it there, that's how insignificant this really should be at the end of the day. A reporter from Lindell TV pressed Pelosi about National Guard support, and Pelosi said federal law barred her from calling the National Guard without specific approval on January 6th, which is the law. So anybody who says, why didn't Nancy Pelosi call the National Guard in, or why did Nancy Pelosi refuse the National Guard, she can't do either one of those things. The Speaker of the House does not have the power to do that. Mike Johnson can't do that right now. The president does. So again, I guess that question should have gone up to the president from Lindell TV. Officially, the D.C. National Guard reports to the President of the United States via the Secretary of Defense. And the notion that it reports to the Speaker of the House is inaccurate. Last month, the GOP majority House voted to create a January 6th investigatory panel chaired by Representative Loudermilk, as Republicans blamed Pelosi and Democrats blamed Trump for the Guard delays. Well, only one of those people is in charge of the National Guard. I don't think you need me to necessarily tell you, because we're seeing the National Guard in all of these different places, and it's not Nancy Pelosi putting them there. Sund said on January 6th, while the Capitol was attacked, and despite my repeated calls, your sergeant at arms again denied my urgent request for the 70 antagonizing minutes, running it up the chain for your approval. And Miller testified no military order was given. So it's another one of those things of just the lady jumped out, tapped Nancy Pelosi on the shoulder, and said, why did you refuse to let the National Guard in on January 6th? Just a shot TMZ type of just gotcha question of, I hate to do it like this, but so Ted, do you still beat your wife? Like, it's just, how do you answer that question, right? How do you respond to that question other than shut up? You know, it's one of those things I get to do as a dad. I get to tease my kids. So I'll do the same kind of thing about, so how many worms did you eat in the dirt that you had this morning? So you can't answer a question like that without denying immediately, right? So it's one of those questions of either Nancy Pelosi gets mad at you for asking the question, and everybody goes, "Oh, she didn't answer the question. All she did was say shut up at the reporter. Didn't answer the question." Or she answers the question and you don't like the answer in any kind of way. Oh, she's denying yet again, which again is why most of the reports of this are on the right. Louder with Crowder, 100% Fed Up, Gateway Pundit, all of those different things. Breitbart, they're all the leaning right side. And because of that, you get the counter push of that other 22% from Crooks and Liars and Ross Story in the Huffington Post from the blue side of things. But at the end of the day, all it was just a got you question. And a lot of it is because the government is shut down. They don't have anything else to complain about. We're starting to get peace in the Middle East, and the government shut down. They don't have much else to complain about but this. This is why you got to choose where you get your news from very carefully if that's who you only get your news from. Please, I recommend every single article, every single thing, read at least 3. Read at least 3. I don't care which 3, even if it's 3 that are on the right or 3 that are on the left. You'll start to see patterns. You'll start to see what happens with your daily intake of news. Stick around. There's more Apolitical Talk Show coming up after this. And then later on tonight, we've got Big Top Sports with Derek Geyer. You're listening to WRMN, whether that's on 1410 AM or over there on the YouTube side. I'll see you on the other side.
For nearly 50 years, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council and Kane Senior Council have been dedicated to serving seniors in DuPage and Kane counties. Established in 1975, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council is a volunteer-driven 501c3 non-for-profit organization committed to helping older adults live with dignity. From providing nutritious meals to offering support services, the Kane Senior Council is there every step of the way. With programs designed to enhance independence and quality of life, they're proud to make a difference in the lives of their senior neighbors. To learn more or to volunteer, visit them at 418B Airport Road in Elgin or head to their website at caneseniorcouncil.org. Give them a call at 630-338-0999. That's 630-338-0999. That's the Kane Senior Council, caring for seniors because they deserve to live with dignity and respect. Visit caneseniorcouncil.org or call 630-338-0999 today.
Kids today live in a world full of social pressure, bullying, and substance abuse. LEAD has a solution. LEAD connects law enforcement agencies with schools to deliver tested, proven, and effective anti-drugs and violence training to kids. Learn more about LEAD, Law Enforcement Against Drugs and Violence, and our work to create safer, healthier communities at leadrugs.org or on social media at We Are LEAD. Sponsored by LEAD, Inc.
Looking for a seed buying experience that's more humanized? Ready to trade a company that's oversized for an independent brand that's right-sized? Searching for elite hybrids that have been optimized, tested in your geography, and localized? Did we run out of words that rhyme, so now we have to use metaphysicized? Maybe so. But if you answered yes to any of these questions, then it's probably time you get Wiffleized. Choose Wiffles hybrids this season, and let's get familiarized.
Tune in to Big Top Sports
with Derek Geyer every weeknight from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
He'll have sports thoughts from the center ring of Chicagoland and to the outer rings from across the nation.
Weather from Chicago Cubs,
White Sox,
Bulls,
Bears,
Blackhawks,
Stars,
Fire,
Boomers, whatever the national story is of the day.
Geyer and his sports czar takes will either have you nodding in agreement,
yelling at the radio,
or in all honesty,
a bit of both.
With the way the Chicagoland sports and sports are in general, there's bound to be
thrills,
chills, and
oh my God moments. So get your snacks and libations ready,
because this is going to be a wild ride.
Big Top Sports with Derek Geyer's quirky and insightful Fanatics take
will make you feel a little
or a lot better about your Chicagoland sports viewing experiences.
Tune in to Big Top Sports with Derek Geyer every weeknight from 6 p.m.
to 8 p.m.
This is a political talk show here on WRMN. WRMN 1410 on that AM dial, or WRMN1410.com. That's where you can see all of our different links. You can listen live. You can also go to youtube.com, find WRMN radio over there. Live stuff, you can find this broadcast over there. Interview with Jim Vasselli talking about municipal law, getting right into the wonkiness of things. Now we're getting into the blind spot of reporting, right? I always recommend ground.news. If you listen long enough, I'll probably say it a few more times throughout you and I being together. But ground.news I really enjoy because ground.news puts a lot of news stories into one single aggregate. And then you're able to kind of look through the bias, look through the ownership, look through a whole bunch of different ways to actually analyze the news. You talk about wonkiness of being into the law, into the policies of things and all of that. Well, to me, I think it needs to be the same way for our news. When we talk about things and they say, oh, I wish we had a Walter Cronkite again. I wish there was a Dan Rather at least, right? At least somebody. That's up to us to find that somebody. And up to us to grade that somebody regularly. So ground.news does a fantastic job. I don't get any commission off of anything, but there are plenty of promo codes and all of the different stuff that's out there. Follow, I guess, a more famous political pundit than myself, and I'm sure they've got a code. But what I'm saying is, don't necessarily use ground.news or anything like that, but at least question where your news comes from. Do that for me, if you will. A little bit of nutrition facts for your news. Otherwise, you may find out that you're eating Lucky Charms with Coke. Anyway, let's talk about this other aspect of it. We talked about the other one that was mostly bulk on the other ends, right? It was mostly red or mostly blue and nothing really in the middle. This one here, this one's got 21 articles, but the makeup is a little bit different as well. 67% are coming in from the center. What this tells you is it is something that has come out from a factual type of source where there are multiple people that are reporting on that side. I'm talking ABC. We're talking about news in Jacksonville, the Detroit News, a whole bunch of people as far as AP and the Independent and a few others that are in there, the Times Daily. So when we look at some of these things, we want to look at it and say, okay, now there aren't so many things on the edges reporting about this. There's more, some of the more established and more historically accurate news organizations reporting about this. It must be more important, or more than likely it must not be as sensational. And you guessed it, that's right. All it is paperwork, and paperwork that nobody's going to get mad about, it seems, because it makes certain parties look bad, I suppose. On Monday, new court documents filed by the state and federal government say constitutional complaints against Alligator Alcatraz stem from clerical error and visitation policies that has since been corrected. On Monday, court filings from state and federal governments say complaints about Alligator Alcatraz stemmed from that visitation policy, and immigration attorneys like Anna Wessler and Nicholas Aguado have publicly complained for months about a prior 3 business day documents requirement that impeded access. Saunders provided emails showing Aguado's law firm arranged visits without a 3-day wait, but early September emails asked the assistant to submit a visitation request. Friends of the Everglades filed a public records lawsuit seeking communications withheld since June, while judges September 4th stay over warned an environmental impact statement may be required. But in early September, a federal appellate court panel in Atlanta issued a stay on the U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams' wind-down order, while earlier this month, federal officials confirmed Florida's $608 million reimbursement after the state failed to disclose the August 7th funding application to the courts. This is the difference of the news. If it's not sensational, everybody stays away from it for some reason. But we still got to eat our veggies. We still got to know what is happening out there. And Florida officials aren't doing their job, at least as far as the paperwork as well. So we'll find out what else is happening in Alligator Alcatraz. Stick around for more WRMN here on the 1410 airwaves in the Fox River Valley.
A loved one owns a gun, and for a while now, you've been concerned about their behavior. They're just not acting like themselves. They've been distant, they've been unpredictable, they've been lashing out. They've been saying things that make you worried they might harm themselves or friends or family. Or you're worried this loved one might hurt you. Maybe they recently threatened someone with their gun. You know something needs to be done, and you wish more than anything you could hit pause on this situation. Well, here in Illinois, you can, with a firearm restraining order. In extreme cases, this order temporarily prevents a person in crisis from having a firearm, giving them time to heal before they do something dangerous or even deadly. If you are worried about a loved one in crisis who has access to a firearm, learn more about firearm restraining orders at illinois.gov/pause to heal. A public service announcement brought to you by the Illinois Department of Public Health, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 5 o'clock.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Centos. The DuPage County Sheriff's Office recently issued a warning to residents amid a surge in phone scams in which the caller poses as a member of law enforcement, sometimes using real names and information to dupe their target. The scammers may tell victims they are part of an investigation or have an outstanding arrest warrant. The caller then advises the victim that they must send payment via wire transfer, gift card, cryptocurrency, or other means to avoid being taken into custody. Residents who believe they have been targeted by scammers can report scam calls via the FTC fraud page. Teenagers on Instagram will be restricted to seeing PG-13 content by default and won't be able to change their settings without a parent's permission, according to a Meta announcement Tuesday. This means kids using teen-specific accounts will see photos and videos on Instagram that are similar to what they would see in a PG-13 movie. Anyone under 18